still have people coming in at a pretty good rate. So we have over 20 people now. So we'll just give it a few more minutes and then we'll get started. It's very quiet. Should have attached my Spotify account, John.
We love good music. I hit the recording, so why don't we go ahead and get started out of respect for everyone's time. Does that sound okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. Welcome everyone, and welcome back if you're returning FAFSA Challenge School. Can't believe we're back here again in September, starting this project all over again. My name is John Shawnamonaco. I'm the Director of Special Projects here at the Department of Education. Thank you for being with us today on this Wednesday afternoon. We are going to go through what this year's FAFSA Challenge looks like. If you have done this before and you've been to this rodeo, this is going to look fairly similar in terms of the application, how the funding works, Tier 1, Tier 2. That's going to be, fairly straightforward. If this is your first time here, we hope that this is informative. We hope that this provides a little bit more clarity on what we do at the state around FAFSA and why it's important, and that it gives you a sense of enthusiasm about wanting to participate this year. This is a voluntary program for schools, but it's one that we found has made a huge impact year after year after year on kids completing the FAFSA and being able to go on to post-secondary education. So our goal is today just to talk about what the FAFSA Challenge is, provide a few successes from last year from the schools that absolutely crushed it in terms of FAFSA completion, and then tell you why you were invited, what criteria we use to select schools, and what the process will look like if you're interested in participating. And as the little icon here says, you are welcome to ask questions. We highly encourage it. You can use the raise hand feature. You can drop your questions in the chat. And if me or one of my colleagues from RISE is just not seeing it, you can come off mute and interrupt us. We're totally okay with that as well. Next slide, please. So again, this is our team here. You'll meet a couple of us today, and then you'll get to know us much more closely over the course of the year. In addition to me, we have Abby Marcantonio from RISE. She'll be presenting a few slides in a bit. You have Sherry McLaughlin, also from RISE, and then you have Emily Palin, the Executive Director from RISE as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so what is the FAFSA? The Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It's a form that every high school senior can complete, as well as students once they enter post-secondary education, and it allows them to access different types of federal aid, including loans, including grants, including federal work study, and in Connecticut, students can receive up to $20,000 in grants alone. That includes federal grants as well as our state Roberta Willis scholarship program. It's not just for students who are going to a traditional four-year school. It's also for students who are going to an associate's program or to some other type of trade or vocational program. Something new that some of you might have heard about, two things actually. One, starting not this school year, but next school year, the General Assembly passed a bill that will require any 12th grade student intending to graduate to do one of three things: either to complete the FAFSA, to complete some other institutional-based financial aid form, or to waive out of that requirement. So this isn't something that is a requirement for this year, but for this current class of juniors and next year seniors, it will be. And so to prepare for that, this program aims to educate school and district leaders on what the FAFSA is so that that transition can be a little bit more smooth. One change that is happening this year, though, that is very important is the Better FAFSA, which is the United States Department of Education's modified FAFSA. They are promising that it is going to be more streamlined, more user-friendly, less questions. That said, if you've been working with the older version of the FAFSA, this is still a change that we all have to kind of wrap our heads around. And so through this challenge, through this program, we're going to be offering you the necessary trainings and resources that you need so that you can become comfortable with it. It doesn't come out until December. So as I popped on earlier, I heard some folks talking about that that's much later, and you're absolutely right. It usually comes out in October, the FAFSA, but because of this new FAFSA that's being rolled out there, it's a little bit delayed. But we understand, or we believe that moving forward, it will come out again in October. Just this year, it's going to be coming out in December. Next slide, please. And these are just our goals, right? Obviously, one is to increase FAFSA completion rates across your high school and across the state. In turn, we also hope that we can improve post-secondary access for students who want to go to college. At the state, we don't believe that every student needs to go to college or should go to college, but we know that there are students who would like to, and for financial or other types of barriers cannot. And so this program aims to help those students for whom college is a priority. And in doing so, we hope to close some of the opportunity gaps that we've seen historically in our state and nationally as well when it comes to low-income students and high-need students being able to attend. With that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues from RISE to talk about what we did last year, and then we'll transition to what we are planning on doing this year.
Great. Thanks, John. Hi, everybody. I'm Sherry McLaughlin. I'm the Director of Post-Secondary Success at the RISE Network, and we're super excited to have year 4 working with the Connecticut State Department of Ed for the Connecticut FAFSA Challenge. We did want to go back, do a little historical walk with you and just talk about the work that has been done with the Connecticut FAFSA Challenge. As you'll see, starting back in 2021, we had 26 high schools and 16 districts that participated. That event started later. That was like a February kind of kickoff for the Connecticut FAFSA Challenge that worked out for that year. But still, on average, for FAFSA completion rates, they were increased by our Connecticut FAFSA Challenge schools by 4%. And then if you take us into 21-22, the challenge was expanded to 40 high schools, 19 districts across the state participated in the challenge. And we were seeing rates of increased by 8 points that year. It was just a fantastic opportunity to work with schools. We added coaching that year and just had a really great time collaborating with our communities of practice and other events and training events. Last year, for those of you who have participated from the beginning or maybe joined last year, or this is going to be your first year, we had 57 high schools, 29 districts that participated and had on average a 7-point increase in FAFSA completions with the challenge schools. So some really exciting stuff, just really be having the opportunity for students to have more opportunities as they're looking to complete the FAFSA to help them financially get to that goal. Some of the challenge specific results you'll see in this chart statewide from 21-22 to 22-23, you'll see overall for the state of Connecticut, there was a 5.4% increase in FAFSA completions. And we want to just brag a little bit about the challenge and the challenge schools and the hard work. FAFSA challenge schools for that same time had a 6.9% increase of percentage points in FAFSA completion. So we were really excited about the work that has been done over the last 3 years. So going into year 4, we're really excited with just the opportunities that are available to students. 37 of the 57 challenge schools met or exceeded the 5-point growth goal. So that's really exciting. And then 15 additional schools were more than 80% towards their goal of 5% increase. So some really exciting stuff and just puts us in a really great spot for this year. A couple other data points, just looking from the start of the challenge up through last year, looking at students with low income backgrounds, completion rates are up, almost 5 points from 21-22 to 22-23. And that's just, that's where basically a lot of the FAFSA Challenge schools are serving the needs of students that are coming from those low income backgrounds. All right. I am turning it over to Abby.
Thanks, Sherry. Hi, everybody. I'm Abby Marcantonio. I am a post-secondary success coach with the RISE team and been really honored to be a part of the FAFSA Challenge over the last few years. Talk a little bit about the timeline and about just some of the details about the challenge. So looking at the timeline here, you all were notified the call for applications last week on September 6th. And here we are today at the prospective applicant webinar on the 13th. So from here, if you choose to move forward with the challenge, which we hope you all do, the application deadline for submission is September 29th. Once your application is submitted, it will be reviewed, and there's a fairly quick turnaround. Award notification will come on October 6th. And then we encourage you all to save your date. Hopefully you will get your notification, you're part of the challenge, and you will join us for our virtual kickoff event where all challenge schools, all the schools participating in the challenge will come together and we'll really kick off the challenge together and next steps. The implementation period for the Connecticut FAFSA Challenge this year really is from October through August of 2024. Next slide. Thank you. Okay, school eligibility. John, feel free to jump off, but I'm going to give it my best shot. You guys stay with me here. There's really two ways your school could have qualified to be invited and eligible for the challenge this year. As mentioned earlier, there are 109 schools that were notified that they're eligible this year. So the first way, looking at your whole school, it would be based on the fact that FAFSA completion rate for all of your students in 22-23 fell below 70% completion, and the percentage of students who receive free or reduced lunch is greater or equal to 20%, and the senior class has a minimum of 50 students. Okay, so really you're looking at if you FAFSA completion was less than 70%, or if not, your free and reduced lunch students, your population was equal to greater than or equal to 20%. The other way, so if you're thinking like, well, we had 70% FAFSA completion last year, I'm not really sure why we were invited to participate. It could be that within your free and reduced student lunch population, that the students who were eligible for that program, the FAFSA completion rate fell below 70%, and their cohort size was greater or equal than to 40 students. Questions? Yes, we will share the slides with you afterwards. John, was there any clarification there?
No, I think you did well, Abby. I would just add that this is a very generous set of criteria, right? And the reason is because if we kept it stringent and too targeted, a lot of schools that have participated last year and benefited from this program wouldn't be able to participate, right? They would be victims of their own success in that they would have had a FAFSA completion rate too high to participate. As Abby or Sherry mentioned, our state average is 60% last year. And so there are some schools, even maybe on this call, that are doing better than the state average of 60% or 61%. But according to these criteria, are still eligible for the challenge because their FAFSA completion rate is below 70%. We don't want you to view this as being part of the challenge as something that is a ding on your school. Rather, it's we hope that it's viewed as an invitation and as a benefit. There are benefits associated with being in the challenge, as we'll go over in a second, but something that is fun and that can provide your school with additional benefits for students who are college bound. Abby, back to you.
Thank you, John. Next slide, please. So what is the FAFSA challenge goal? This has stayed consistent year to year, but the goal is a 5% increase. So if your school had a 55% FAFSA completion last school year, the ask would be that you set your goal at 60% this year. And then in the fall, there's an opportunity to be recognized for not only meeting or exceeding your goal, but all of the hard work and the growth that you've accomplished among your students and your student body. Next slide, please. Okay, so within the challenge, there is 2 tiers of support. I know some of you who participated last year are familiar. I'm just going to kind of run through the differences between the two. So when you are looking at your application, you're going to want to consider if you'd like to be part of tier 1, which is considered basic support. Basic support is going to include a micro grant that's scaled to the size of your senior class. You will be invited to participate in what we call monthly community of practice, which is a community of those participating in the challenge, where we share best practices, we share struggle, we talk through, how to support each other with the challenges that may arise with students and families. And there's also a little bit of a professional development aspect in there. We bring in some really great speakers last year, and I hope to bring back again this year. We really dug into FAFSA verification. We partnered with the state community college system to take a closer look at the financial aid opportunities there as well. And that attendance is optional for tier 1. You'll also have access to student level data, specifically around FAFSA completion through the State Department of Ed's site. And then you'll also have an invitation to attend some free FAFSA trainings for those who are part of your school FAFSA team, as well as other educators in your building who will be supporting students. Tier 2 is what we consider intensive support. It does look very similar to tier 1. It just has a couple of varying differences. So you will receive a larger micro grant than those who opt in for tier 1, also scaled to the size of your senior class. The attendance to the monthly virtual community of practice is actually required, that a team member participate in that monthly. You'll still have access to the same great student level data around FAFSA completion through Ed's site. You will have availability to the free FAFSA trainings through our partners with U Aspire for your FAFSA team and your school educators. But in addition, you'll also have the opportunity to opt in for monthly coaching provided by our post-secondary success team here at RISE, which is a monthly coaching where we do check-in that's really specific to the needs and demographics of your students and your school population about the best strategies and the best way forward, and utilizing that data to make really informed decisions to improve your student outcomes. This slide here, I'm not going to go through all of them for you. You will get some additional information as you're digging into the application, but through the years of this work, we've really been able to identify some really strong, promising practices that not only promote FAFSA completion, but yield some really strong results. You'll see on here, FAFSA Task Force. This is a strategy that some of you on this call I know have leaned into. It's essentially just a collaborative group of educators within your school community that are paid, right, to work as FAFSA coaches, supporting students and families one-on-one with FAFSA completion. Some of the other buckets are around incentives and celebrations of motivating students and engaging them in this important work, family engagement, marketing and promotion. How are you letting your school community know about the FAFSA and the importance of FAFSA? So these buckets really kind of tap into those areas that we believe can help you yield stronger results at your high school. And just a little shout out to a couple of our schools from last year. Middletown High School, they actually increased their FAFSA completion rate by 15 percentage points this year. They did implement a FAFSA task force, and they had a team of 6 who worked with smaller caseloads of students and families to help them with FAFSA completion. And then our friends at Windham High School also exceeded their goal for this year. They had a variety, these pictures don't do it justice, of really fun events and activities and marketing within the school community to engage students and educators alike, one of which was a cupcakes and hot chocolate event, and everyone rallied around their FAFSA thermometer, working towards reaching their goals for the year. I am going to now give it back to John, who's going to talk just a little bit more in detail about the application instructions.
Thanks, Abby. So to wrap it up, there's a short application. It's the same application that we used last year, where we just ask you to look at what was your data last year, what would you like to do this year should you get the grant funding, and what is your timeline to getting there. We ask that the applications be completed by a school level official rather than at the district, and that each school submit their own application. If you have outside partners, I know there are a number of great partners in our state that go into schools or work with schools on a virtual basis. You're welcome to work with them. We also, for schools that choose to join the FAFSA Challenge and are interested in working with the partner, we've already here at the State Department are getting requests from various colleges and nonprofits that are eager to work with people like you. And so if that's of interest, and if you could use that extra support from the outside, we will be able to connect you and find either a local college or a local nonprofit that can support you with getting FAFSAs completed. And maximum 300 words per response. Don't kill yourself writing essays for these application questions. Okay, so next steps. The application and a recording of this webinar will be posted on this website here that you see on your screen in that first bullet. I also just dropped it into the chat so you can find it there. We will have this up no later than the end of the week. Applications are going to be due by September 29th, 2023. The first community practice, as Abby mentioned, will be on October 18th in the afternoon at 2:30. So once you have been notified that you are accepted, we will follow up with a calendar invite for that date and time for the virtual kickoff event. If you have questions between now and the 29th or now and the 18th, you are always welcome to email our team, me especially, and my email is down there at the very bottom as well. And I think that brings us to the end of our presentation today. Abby and Sherry and I are going to stick around and answer any questions that you might have. You're welcome to stick around and listen in too. But other than that, we wish you the best of luck on the applications. Reach out if you have more questions after this call. Otherwise, we'll stick around for a few more minutes.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Kristen, Mona.
Hi, I was just typing. Great to see you.